Ladies and gentlemen, we're standing here today in 2025, a year brimming with potential, and I want to ask you one simple question. Why are we still wasting time? Time is the one thing every single person in this room is given in equal measure. Whether you're a CEO, a student, an entrepreneur, or a parent, you get 24 hours a day, no more, no less. Yet, how we use those hours defines the lives we build, the relationships we nurture, and the legacies we leave behind. So why do we squander it? Wasting time isn't just about scrolling endlessly on our phones or putting off our goals until someday. It's about something deeper, losing sight of our purpose. Every hour spent in distraction is an hour stolen from the things that matter most: our dreams, our connections, and our contributions to the world. But here's the good news. 2025 isn't just another year. It's the perfect year to take back control. Imagine this. What if every moment you lived this year was intentional? What if instead of letting time slip through your fingers, you invested it? Not spent it, not killed it, invested it. Because time is an investment. When you choose to focus on what truly matters, whether it's growing your skills, deepening your relationships, or pursuing a dream, you're planting seeds for a future that you can be proud of. But let's be honest, we live in a world designed to steal our time. Social media, endless notifications, streaming platforms, they're engineered to distract us. The question isn't whether distractions exist, it's whether you let them control you. Here's what I challenge you to do. Set boundaries with your time. Say no to what doesn't serve your purpose. Schedule your priorities, not just your tasks. Reflect at the end of each day, did I spend my time in a way that aligns with the person I want to become? Because here's the truth, you don't need more time, you need more intention. This year, stop treating time like a currency you'll never run out of, start treating it like the gift it is. When you stop wasting time, you create space for creativity, growth, and impact. So let's make a promise today. A promise to value our time and our lives enough to stop wasting what we'll never get back. Let's make 2025 the year we lived with purpose, intention, and focus. Why do we waste time? It's a question that seems simple at first, but grows more complex the longer we sit with it. Time is the only resource every person on this planet receives equally. Whether you are rich or poor, young or old, time does not discriminate. Each day we are granted 24 hours, 1,440 minutes, 8,6,400 seconds. Yet somehow we let so much of it slip through our fingers. What? It starts with how we perceive time. We treat it as if it's infinite, as if tomorrow's guaranteed, as if the moments we squander today will somehow reappear when we need them most. But deep down, we know that's not true. Time is the most valuable asset we have because it is non-renewable. Once spent, it's gone forever. And yet, despite this, we spend it carelessly, on distractions, on procrastination, on activities that add no value to our lives. But let me ask you this. If time is so valuable, why do we let ourselves waste it so easily? Perhaps it's because the cost isn't immediately visible. You don't feel the loss of a few minutes scrolling through social media or an hour binge watching a show until it adds up, until weeks, months, or even years have passed, and you're left wondering where all that time went. And it's not just the wasted hours that are the problem. It's the opportunities we let pass by, the relationships that go untended, the dreams we put off because we tell ourselves there will always be more time. We fail to ask the essential question, what could I be doing with my time that truly matters? The answer is deeply personal. What matters to you might not matter to someone else. For some, it's about pursuing a career that makes a difference. For others, it's about spending quality time with loved ones. It could be about health, learning, or giving back to your community. The point isn't what matters, it's that something does. And if you're not using your time to honor that, then what are you doing? This isn't about being productive every second of every day. It's not about filling every moment with tasks or striving for perfection. It's about intentionality. It's about choosing to spend your time in ways that align with your values and your goals. It's about recognizing that every choice you make with your time is an investment in the person you're becoming. The real challenge is that we live in a world designed to waste our time. Distractions are everywhere. They're on our phones, our screens, in the endless notifications and updates that pull our attention away from what truly matters. And the more we give into them, the harder it becomes to reclaim our focus, our energy, and our purpose. But what if we decided to take control? What if we stopped letting the world dictate how we spend our time and started making deliberate choices instead? What if we made 2025 the year we stop wasting time, not because we want to be busier, but because we want to be more present, more intentional, and more aligned with the lives we truly want to lead. It starts with asking why. Why do I do what I do? Why do I let distractions pull me away? Why do I keep putting off the things that matter most? And most importantly, why am I not treating time as the gift it is? These are the questions that can guide us toward a better use of our time and ultimately a better life. Every moment we live is an opportunity to align our actions with our purpose, yet so often we drift through time without stopping to ask ourselves, what is all of this for? Why do we do what we do? Without purpose, time becomes just a series of empty hours, easily filled with distractions, routines, or obligations that leave us feeling unfulfilled. But when purpose enters the equation, everything changes. Purpose is the lens that brings clarity to our lives. It's the reason behind the decisions we make, the goals we set, and the way we choose to spend our days. It's not just about having a sense of direction. It's about giving meaning to the time we have. When you act with purpose, every hour becomes valuable because it's contributing to something larger than yourself. Yet, for many of us, the concept of purpose feels overwhelming. We think it has to be grand, transformative, or world-changing, but purpose doesn't have to be monumental. It can be found in the smallest acts, showing kindness to someone, learning a new skill, or spending time with a loved one. Purpose is about living intentionally, ensuring that what you do aligns with what truly matters to you. Think about how easy it is to get caught up in the busyness of life. We fill our calendars with meetings, errands, and obligations without asking whether they support our deeper goals. We scroll endlessly through feeds, losing hours to content that adds nothing meaningful to our lives. Why? Because we confuse activity with progress. But busyness isn't the same as purpose. You can spend an entire day working and still feel empty if what you're doing doesn't connect to something meaningful. When you lead with purpose, however, time takes on a different quality. It stops feeling like something you're trying to manage or control and starts feeling like something you're honoring. Purpose gives you the power to say no to what doesn't matter and yes to what does. It helps you prioritize not just your time, but your energy, focus, and attention. Without purpose, it's easy to fall into the trap of short-term gratification. We choose what feels good in the moment, a quick distraction, an easy task, or a familiar routine over what truly fulfills us in the long run. But when you are clear on your purpose, you begin to make choices that reflect your values. You start to see your time as a way to build something meaningful, whether it's a relationship, a career, or a legacy. Purpose also helps us navigate challenges. There will always be moments when life feels overwhelming, when distractions pull us in every direction, or when motivation runs low. In those moments, purpose becomes a guide. It reminds us of why we started, of what we're working toward, and of the deeper reasons behind our actions. It keeps us grounded, focused, and resilient. The beauty of purpose is that it's deeply personal. No one can define it for you. It's not about following someone else's idea of success or achievement. It's about listening to yourself and understanding what truly matters to you. What brings you joy? What gives you a sense of fulfillment? What makes you feel alive? When you answer these questions, you unlock the power of your time. Time spent without purpose is time lost, but time spent with purpose is transformative. It's not just about what you accomplish, but about the person you become in the process. Purpose elevates the ordinary, turning simple actions into meaningful contributions. It creates a life where every moment counts, not because you're busy, but because you're intentional. In 2025, let's stop wasting time by reconnecting with our purpose. Let's use our hours to create lives that reflect who we truly are and what we genuinely care about. Because when we live with purpose, time becomes more than just something we measure. It becomes something we cherish. When we waste time, we don't just affect ourselves. We affect everything and everyone around us. The impact of wasted time ripples out far beyond the individual, touching our families, communities, workplaces, and the world at large. We often think of time as a personal resource, one that we manage solely for our own benefit. But in reality, how we spend our time has consequences that extend far beyond our own lives. Imagine that you are a part of a larger ecosystem, a network of people whose actions influence one another. Every hour you waste is an hour not spent contributing to your goals, your relationships, or your community. That hour, instead of being invested in something meaningful, could have been used to inspire others, build a skill, create an opportunity, or solve a problem. Instead, it's lost, and that loss has a chain reaction. Consider the effect of wasted time in a workplace. When one person isn't using their time wisely, the result is often a backlog of tasks, missed opportunities, and a decrease in the overall productivity of the team. The ripple effect here isn't just about one person falling behind, it's about the entire group being affected. Team members have to pick up the slack, deadlines are missed, and what could have been accomplished in hours stretches into days, weeks, and months, all because time wasn't treated as the precious resource it is. In families, the consequences are just as significant. Time wasted in one area of life often translates to missed moments with those we love. How often do we put off spending quality time with our children, spouses, or parents, telling ourselves we'll get to it later? Later becomes never, and the void left by those missed connections becomes more and more noticeable over time. The missed moments become memories we can never get back, and the ripple effect is felt in the distance that grows between us and the people who matter most. The ripple effect isn't just a consequence of personal choices, it also shapes the environment we live in. When we waste time on things that do not contribute to the greater good, we diminish our capacity to address the issues that matter in the world. Whether it's social change, environmental sustainability, or simply being kind to one another, the time we waste could be better spent making a positive impact. Every hour wasted is an hour not spent helping others or creating a world that reflects the values we want to see. Think about the people who have come before us, who used their time to create lasting change. They didn't waste time because they knew that every moment could have a profound impact. The inventions we benefit from today, the movements that have changed history, the innovations that have improved lives, all of these were born from individuals who saw the value of their time and used it to create something meaningful. If they had wasted time, they would have never had the chance to make their mark. The truth is, when we waste time, we steal from the future. The time we spend today is not just for us, it is for all the people whose lives we touch. The choices we make about how to spend our hours today have long-lasting effects on those around us. When we don't show up for ourselves, we fail to show up for others. When we put off our goals or ignore the things that truly matter, we deny our loved ones, our colleagues, and even strangers the best version of ourselves. And this isn't just about missed opportunities. Wasting time also has an emotional cost. The guilt, regret, and frustration that come with knowing you've wasted a day, a week, or a month. These emotions create a ripple of negativity. They affect your mindset, your confidence, and your ability to move forward. If you can't be intentional with your own time, how can you expect to be intentional in your relationships, your work, or your life? And the ripple effect of wasted time reminds us that every action or inaction has a consequence. How we choose to spend our moments shapes not only our lives, but the lives of everyone around us. Whether we are aware of it or not, our time is constantly creating waves in the world. The question is, what kind of waves do we want to create? There is one thing we all have in common: time. It's the one resource that is finite, unrenewable, and equal for everyone. No matter who you are or what you do, time is always ticking away. Yet, so often we forget that it's slipping through our fingers, and we delay, procrastinate, or put things off until tomorrow. But there is one truth we must face: tomorrow is never promised. Time doesn't wait for anyone. Every moment spent without action is a moment lost. We often convince ourselves that we have plenty of time, that we can afford to put things off, that we'll get around to it eventually. But the reality is that time doesn't care about our plans or our excuses. It moves forward relentlessly, and the longer we wait, the harder it becomes to catch up. The urgency of action is not just a matter of meeting deadlines or taking off tasks. It's about seizing the opportunities that are right in front of us. It's about recognizing that the future we're waiting for is built on the actions we take today, right now. Every decision, every effort, every moment of focus is an investment in the future we want to create. The longer we wait, the further we get from the person we want to be, the life we want to live, and the impact we want to have. Think about all the things you've put off, the dreams you've shelved, the goals you've delayed. What are you waiting for? Perfection? The right time? The truth is, there is no perfect moment. There is no perfect time. The conditions will never be ideal. The stars will never perfectly align. The only time that truly matters is the one we have right now. Every moment you delay is a moment you can never get back. There's no pause button, no rewind, no second chance. Every time you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," or "I'll start next week," you're giving away your precious hours to something less important, something that doesn't serve your purpose or your growth. The urgency is now, because the longer you wait, the further you fall behind. We must act with urgency, not out of fear or panic, but because we understand the cost of inaction. The cost is the future we're missing out on, the potential that remains untapped, and the opportunities that pass us by. There's no guarantee that tomorrow will come or that the chances we have today will be available tomorrow. Every day that you wait to act is a day you're postponing the life you want. But the most successful people are not the ones who wait for the perfect moment. They are the ones who act, even when conditions are imperfect. They understand that the power lies in taking the first step, in starting, in doing. The difference between those who succeed and those who don't isn't the amount of time they have. It's what they do with the time they've been given. This is why urgency matters. It's not about rushing through life or creating unnecessary stress. It's about recognizing the preciousness of time and using it to create the life we want. Every action, no matter how small, builds momentum. Every step forward brings us closer to our goals, to the person we want to become. The longer we wait, the more we let slip away. The urgency of action is not about panic, it's about purpose. It's about understanding that the time we have is limited, that the future we desire is within our grasp, and that the best time to act is now. Every minute spent without action is a minute wasted, an opportunity missed. The time is now to act with intention, to invest in what truly matters, and to start building the future we want today. Personal accountability is the foundation of how we use our time. We often fall into the trap of blaming external factors for how we spend our days. Busy schedules, unexpected events, or even the influence of other people. But in the end, it all comes down to one simple truth. We are responsible for how we use our time. No one else can decide how we spend our hours. No one else can make our choices for us. We are the only ones in control. When we embrace personal accountability, we stop making excuses and start making choices. We stop letting the distractions of the world dictate our actions and instead take ownership of our time. Every moment is a decision, and when we take responsibility for those decisions, we begin to reclaim our time. It's easy to blame others for wasting our time or for pulling us in different directions, but at the end of the day, it's our responsibility to decide where our energy goes. Accountability is about being honest with ourselves. It's about looking in the mirror and asking, am I using my time in a way that aligns with my values and my goals? It's so easy to fall into patterns of distraction, to justify procrastination or poor habits with reasons that sound valid in the moment. But when we take a hard look at how we're actually spending our time, we often find that the excuses don't hold up. We are choosing to waste time, and that's a choice we can change. Taking personal accountability doesn't mean being perfect or having every moment planned out. It's not about being rigid or hard on ourselves. It's about recognizing when we've drifted off course and making the conscious decision to get back on track. It's about understanding that we are in control of how we spend our time and that we can always choose to do better, starting right now. When we accept responsibility for how we use our time, we also unlock the power to change. We stop waiting for motivation to strike for the right moment or for external circumstances to align in our favor. Instead, we take action in spite of challenges, in spite of distractions, and in spite of uncertainty. We take ownership of our time because we know that it's the most valuable resource we have, and wasting it means giving up the opportunity to live the life we want. Personal accountability also means acknowledging when we waste time and not letting that discourage us. It's about learning from our mistakes rather than ignoring them or covering them up. If we spend an afternoon scrolling through social media instead of focusing on a project, we don't need to beat ourselves up. We simply need to recognize that time is precious and move forward with the understanding that next time we'll make a better choice. When we hold ourselves accountable, we also become more intentional with our choices. We stop letting time slip away unnoticed because we know exactly how we want to use it. We become more focused on what truly matters and less caught up in the noise that surrounds us. Personal accountability isn't just about managing time, it's about managing ourselves. It's about developing the discipline to make intentional choices, to act with purpose, and to be fully present in every moment. The truth is, no one else can decide how we spend our time. We can't wait for the world to give us permission to focus, or for others to step in and manage our schedules. We are the only ones who can make time work for us, and that begins with taking responsibility for every choice we make. It means saying yes to the things that move us forward and no to the things that don't. It's a commitment to owning our time and using it in ways that bring us closer to our goals, our purpose, and our vision of the life we want to lead. One of the most powerful shifts we can make in our lives is a shift in perspective. Time, when viewed from a narrow lens, can feel like an endless series of tasks, obligations, and responsibilities. We often see it as something we need to control or manage, as though we are merely trying to survive the hours rather than truly live in them. But what if we change the way we think about time itself? What if we started seeing time not as an enemy or a scarce resource, but as an opportunity, a gift that we can shape and use to create something meaningful? The way we perceive time can either limit us or liberate us. When we see time as something to simply get through, it becomes a race against the clock. We rush, we stress, and we focus on how little time we have left. But when we shift our perspective and start to see time as something to be savored and intentionally spent, everything changes. Time becomes an asset, a tool that can help us build the life we desire, not just something to be managed or lost. How often do we get caught up in thinking about how much time we don't have instead of appreciating the time we do have? We look ahead at the years to come, feeling overwhelmed by the distance between us and our goals. We look back at the time we've lost, feeling regret for the moments we didn't use wisely. But if we keep our focus on the past or the future, we miss the power of the present. The only time that truly matters is the one we are living right now, and shifting our perspective allows us to see that this very moment is the most valuable one. Think about the times when you've been fully present, when you've lost track of time because you were doing something that mattered. It could be a conversation, a project, a moment of connection, or simply being in nature. In those moments, time didn't feel like a constraint, it felt expansive. When we shift our perspective, we realize that time doesn't have to feel limited. We can fill it with meaning, with purpose, with experiences that align with what truly matters to us. The way we view time also influences how we approach our goals. We often think about time in terms of deadlines or how much we have left to accomplish. But what if we view time through the lens of progress instead? Instead of focusing on how much time we have to finish, we could focus on how much time we have to grow. Every moment becomes a chance to move forward, learn something new, or create something that aligns with our deepest desires. When we see time as an opportunity for growth rather than a countdown to an end, we become more motivated to use it in ways that serve us. Shifting our perspective also means letting go of the fear that we're running out of time. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking we're behind or that we've missed our chance. The truth is, no matter where we are, we still have time. The future is not something we need to fear, it's something we get to shape. When we shift our mindset, we realize that we don't need to do everything at once. Small, consistent actions can lead to incredible results over time, and we don't have to be overwhelmed by the sheer volume of what's ahead. Another shift in perspective comes when we start to see time as a reflection of our values. Instead of looking at how we spend our time as a list of tasks to be completed, we can start asking ourselves, does this align with who I want to be? When we focus on our values and our vision for the future, we make decisions based on what truly matters, not what just fills our schedule. Time becomes a way to honor ourselves, our priorities, and our purpose. Every moment becomes an opportunity to live in alignment with our deepest convictions. The people we spend time with also shape our perspective on time. When we surround ourselves with individuals who value their time and live with intention, we are naturally influenced to do the same. Time becomes not just something we manage on our own, but something we share and co-create with others. Whether it's family, friends, colleagues, or mentors, the people around us remind us that time is precious. Their actions encourage us to use our own time with care, to make every moment count, not just for ourselves, but for the collective. By shifting how we see time, we shift how we live. It's no longer a race or a countdown, it becomes an unfolding story, one that we get to write every day. Time is no longer the enemy, no longer a source of stress or regret. It is a constant companion, a tool for growth, a vehicle for purpose, and a space where we can live fully and authentically. When we shift our perspective on time, we open up the possibility of living a life that reflects who we truly are. Perspective shapes everything about how we experience the world. When it comes to time, our perspective can be the difference between feeling overwhelmed by its passage and feeling empowered by it. How we view time, whether as a resource to be managed or an opportunity to be embraced, influences how we spend it, how we value it, and ultimately how we live our lives. Too often we fall into the trap of seeing time as a constant race against the clock, something to be controlled, maximized, or simply survived. But what if we could shift that perspective and see time as something more than just a ticking countdown? Imagine for a moment that time isn't something running out, but something abundant, something to be fully experienced. When we start to view time as an opportunity rather than a scarcity, we begin to approach each moment with intention. It's not about filling every minute with tasks, but about engaging with what truly matters in each moment. Time, in this view, becomes a canvas, waiting for us to create on it, not just a pressure to meet deadlines or finish lists. Instead of focusing on what we don't have enough of, we begin to appreciate the time we do have, and that shift can completely change the way we experience our days. So often we're caught in the rush of getting things done that we forget to enjoy the process. The to-do lists, the meetings, the endless responsibilities, they all seem urgent. But what if we started to see them not as burdens, but as opportunities for growth, for connection, for learning? When we shift our perspective, tasks that once felt monotonous or stressful can take on new, even the smallest moments. Working on a project, having a conversation, making a cup of coffee, become part of a larger journey. The very act of being present with our time can turn routine tasks into powerful, meaningful experiences. Many of us view time as something we lose, especially when we look back on moments we consider wasted. Time spent on distractions, unproductive activities, or missed opportunities can often leave us feeling regretful. But what if we reframe those moments? What if time spent doing nothing or even failing wasn't time lost, but time learned from? Every moment spent not advancing toward a goal is not a waste. It's a chance to reflect, recalibrate, and prepare for the next opportunity. By shifting our perspective, we allow ourselves the space to recognize the value in every moment, even those that feel less productive. A shift in perspective also involves seeing time not as a personal possession, but as something interconnected with others. We often think of time as something we're solely responsible for, but in reality, our time is shared with the people around us. The way we spend our time impacts our relationships, our families, our colleagues, and our communities. The moments we devote to those we care about, whether it's listening to a friend, spending time with a loved one, or supporting a colleague, are some of the most valuable ways we can use time. When we begin to see time as something we give, share, and invest in others, it takes on a new level of importance. Our actions with time become not just for ourselves, but for those around us. Another important shift in perspective comes when we see time not as something we manage, but something we honor. Too often, we fall into the trap of squeezing every minute into a rigid schedule. We organize, optimize, and rush through our days, believing that efficiency is the key to using time wisely. But sometimes the best use of time is simply to be, to pause, to reflect, or to enjoy the quiet moments. Time becomes more than just about productivity. It's about presence. Whether it's a quiet walk, a moment of stillness, or a deep breath, honoring time means recognizing its worth in every form. Time, in its essence, is a gift, but this perspective can easily be lost when we're consumed by the demands of everyday life. Shifting our perspective involves embracing the idea that time doesn't need to be filled with endless tasks to be valuable. We can choose how we engage with our time, deciding whether we want to rush through it or savor it. In a world that constantly pushes us to do more, taking time to pause, reflect, and simply enjoy life's small moments becomes an act of rebellion against the idea that time is only valuable if it's productive. As we change the way we see time, we change the way we live our lives. We stop seeing time as an external force we need to control and start seeing it as something we are part of, something we can shape. By shifting our perspective, we make time more than just a sequence of minutes and hours. It becomes the medium through which we create the life we want, the space where we align our actions with our values, and the tool with which we can craft the future we desire. Time isn't something we run out of, it's something we create with every day. Technology is an undeniable force in our world today, and it plays a huge role in how we spend our time. For many, technology has become both a tool of convenience and a source of distraction. In the blink of an eye, we can access information, connect with people, or entertain ourselves. While this can be incredibly beneficial, technology can also become an easy way to waste time, often without us even realizing it. The role of technology in our lives is complex. It can either enhance our productivity and enrich our experiences, or it can pull us away from what truly matters. One of the most powerful aspects of technology is its ability to provide us with instant access to information. We no longer have to wait for answers. They're at our fingertips, ready to be discovered within seconds. This has transformed how we work, learn, and solve problems. However, the very accessibility that makes technology so powerful can also be its downfall. The constant notifications, updates, and distractions that come with our devices can make it incredibly easy to lose focus. Instead of using our technology to advance our goals, we often end up mindlessly scrolling through social media or watching endless videos. The convenience of technology can quickly turn into a time sink if we aren't mindful of how we engage with it. Technology also affects the way we communicate. It's never been easier to connect with someone, no matter where they are in the world. However, while this ability to communicate instantly can be incredibly valuable, it can also lead to communication overload. Our devices are constantly ringing, buzzing, or flashing with messages, emails, and alerts. The constant stream of communication can pull us away from deep, meaningful work and make us feel as if we are always on. Instead of taking time to focus on important tasks, we find ourselves constantly checking our phones or responding to messages, disrupting our flow and reducing our productivity. While technology offers incredible potential to streamline our lives, it also opens the door to endless distractions. Apps, websites, and games are designed to be engaging, capturing our attention in ways that make it hard to pull away. These distractions, while harmless in small doses, can easily add up over time. Hours can pass without us realizing how much time we've spent on activities that don't serve our long-term goals. The ease with which we can switch from one thing to another, checking a text, scrolling through social media, watching a video, fractures our focus and diminishes our ability to deeply engage with any single task. One of the biggest challenges with technology is its tendency to make us feel like we're doing something productive when we're actually wasting time. Browsing the internet, reading the news, or responding to emails can create the illusion of being busy. We trick ourselves into thinking that we're accomplishing something simply by filling our time with activity, when in reality we may be doing things that don't contribute to our most important goals. The endless availability of content online can distract us from what truly matters, making it harder to focus on the tasks and projects that require our attention and energy. Technology also offers us tools that can help us manage our time better. Task managers, calendar apps, time tracking software, these are all designed to help us stay organized and on track. With the right tools, technology can become a powerful ally in our quest to use time wisely. The key is to be intentional with how we use it. Instead of letting technology dictate how we spend our time, we can take control and use it to streamline our processes, stay focused on our priorities, and eliminate unnecessary distractions. By setting clear goals and using technology to help us achieve them, we can ensure that we're not wasting time, but using it to its fullest potential. The rise of artificial intelligence and automation is another example of how technology can be leveraged to maximize our time. Tasks that once took hours or days to complete can now be automated or accelerated through technology, freeing up time for more creative, meaningful, or high-value work. Instead of being bogged down by repetitive tasks, we can focus our energy on areas that require human creativity, decision-making, and problem-solving. Technology allows us to delegate certain tasks to machines or software, giving us the freedom to invest our time in activities that truly matter. At the same time, technology's influence on our time isn't just about how we use it, it's also about how it shapes our expectations. In a world where everything is accessible at the click of a button, we've become accustomed to instant gratification. We expect quick results, immediate feedback, and constant access to information. This shift in expectations can make it difficult to be patient and deliberate in our efforts. And when we're constantly bombarded with immediate responses, it can feel frustrating to spend time working toward long-term goals that don't deliver quick results. The challenge is to balance our desire for instant gratification with the understanding that meaningful, lasting progress often requires time and sustained effort. The role of technology in our lives is undoubtedly significant, but how we engage with it makes all the difference. Technology can either help us optimize our time or rob us of it. It's all about how we choose to use it, whether we use it mindfully to enhance our productivity and well-being, or let it pull us into a cycle of distractions and time-wasting habits. As we look ahead to 2025, it's essential that we cultivate a balanced relationship with technology, one that allows us to harness its potential while protecting our most precious resource, our time. Inspiration can come from a variety of sources, and often the most powerful examples of how to use time wisely come from those who have accomplished incredible things. These individuals didn't necessarily have more time than anyone else. They simply made the most of the time they had. Their stories serve as reminders that time, when used effectively, can lead to extraordinary outcomes. When we look at these examples, we see not only their success, but the time they invested in their craft, their discipline, and their passions. Take, for example, the story of Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple. Jobs wasn't just someone who worked long hours. He worked with intention. He knew the value of every minute and focused on creating products that would change the world. Jobs wasn't interested in wasting time with things that didn't contribute to his vision. He knew how to prioritize the important over the trivial, dedicating his time to projects that mattered. His success wasn't an accident, it was the result of deliberate choices about where to invest his time and energy. Jobs' example shows us that the value of time lies not in how much we have, but in how effectively we use it. Another example is the life of Maya Angelou, the renowned poet and author. Angelou faced many hardships throughout her life, but she made a conscious decision to not let time slip away. She found ways to fill her days with purpose and meaning, and her dedication to her craft led to a remarkable body of work. Despite the challenges she faced, she used her time to write, to inspire, and to make a difference in the world. Angelou's example reminds us that even in the face of adversity, we have the power to choose how we use our time. It's not about having a perfect or easy life. It's about making the most of what we have, no matter the circumstances. We can look to Thomas Edison, one of the most prolific inventors in history. Edison is a prime example of someone who didn't waste time. He was known for his relentless work ethic, often spending long hours in his laboratory experimenting and failing in order to succeed. Edison once famously said, "Genius is 1% inspiration and 99% perspiration." His life was a testament to the power of hard work and persistence, showing us that time spent working toward a goal, even through failure, can lead to incredible breakthroughs. Edison's example teaches us that success isn't always immediate, but if we commit to using our time effectively, the results can be transformative. The story of Serena Williams, one of the greatest tennis players of all time, is another powerful example of how time can be used to achieve greatness. Williams has spent countless hours honing her craft, pushing herself to improve day after day. Her discipline and commitment to her sport are undeniable. She has faced setbacks, injuries, and personal challenges, but through it all, she has remained focused on her goals. Williams' success didn't happen overnight. It was the result of years of hard work, dedication, and a commitment to using her time to become the best. Her example serves as a reminder that achieving excellence takes time, but the investment is always worth it. One of the most inspiring examples of using time effectively comes from the life of Malala Yousafzai. Despite the violence and oppression she faced, Malala chose to use her voice and her time to advocate for education and equality for girls around the world. Malala's life is a testament to the idea that even in the face of adversity, we can choose how we use our time to make an impact. Her dedication to her cause and her willingness to speak out, even at great personal risk, is a powerful reminder that our time is not just for ourselves, it can be used to make a difference in the world. Consider also the story of Elon Musk, the entrepreneur and CEO of SpaceX and Tesla. Musk has been known for his work ethic, often putting in long hours and dedicating himself fully to the companies he leads. However, it's not just the time he spends working that sets him apart, it's how he uses that time. Musk has an extraordinary ability to focus on his goals and push through obstacles, even when the odds are stacked against him. His vision for the future and his commitment to innovation have made him one of the most influential figures in the tech industry. Musk's example demonstrates that time can be used to not only achieve personal success, but also to change entire industries and shape the future. The lives of these individuals all have something in common. They show us that how we spend our time matters. Whether it's through perseverance, hard work, focus, or purpose, each of these examples demonstrates that time is not just something to be passed, but something to be invested. These stories inspire us to take a hard look at how we use our own time and ask ourselves if we're making the most of it. They challenge us to rethink what's possible when we prioritize our time and direct it toward what truly matters. These examples teach us that time, when used with intention, can lead to remarkable outcomes. And they remind us that we, too, have the ability to shape our own future by how we choose to spend the time we have. In our fast-paced, always-on world, it's easy to get caught up in the rush of daily life and forget to pause and reflect. We are so often consumed by tasks, responsibilities, and the constant flow of information that we don't take the time to step back and assess how we are truly spending our most precious resource, time. However, reflection is a powerful tool that can help us evaluate where we are, where we want to go, and how we can better align our time with our values and goals. Taking time to reflect is not just about looking back at what we've done, it's about gaining clarity and insight into how we can use our time more purposefully moving forward. Reflection allows us to see patterns in how we spend our days, recognize where we may be wasting time, and identify areas where we can improve. When we make reflection a habit, we become more mindful of how we engage with our time and begin to make more intentional choices about how we use it. This process of self-awareness is the first step toward reclaiming our time and using it in ways that align with our deepest desires and aspirations. When was the last time you took a moment to reflect on how you spent your day or week? It's easy to get caught up in the demands of the moment and rush from one task to the next without giving much thought to whether those tasks are truly serving our long-term goals. By reflecting on our time, we can begin to identify where we may be wasting it. Whether it's by getting lost in distractions or procrastinating on tasks that matter, reflection gives us the opportunity to take a step back, look at how we're investing our time, and ask ourselves if those choices are in alignment with our values and aspirations. Reflection is also about asking the right questions. Are we spending our time on the things that matter most? Are we prioritizing the activities that align with our goals and purpose? Are there areas of our lives where we feel unfulfilled or dissatisfied? And if so, how can we change how we use our time to improve those areas? These questions are crucial in helping us assess where we stand and where we want to go. They guide us toward making more informed decisions about how we allocate our time and energy. It's also important to reflect on how we feel about the way we're spending our time. Often we get caught up in what we think we should be doing, checking off tasks, meeting deadlines, or fulfilling obligations, without stopping to consider whether those activities are bringing us joy, fulfillment, or meaning. Taking time to reflect on our emotions and our sense of satisfaction can help us see whether we are truly using our time in ways that nurture our well-being and contribute to our happiness. Are we engaging in activities that bring us a sense of purpose and fulfillment, or are we simply going through the motions because we feel obligated? Reflection allows us to answer these questions and make changes where necessary. When we take the time to reflect, we also gain insight into how we can improve. Reflection isn't just about identifying where we're wasting time, it's about recognizing opportunities for growth and improvement. Maybe we realize that we're spending too much time on social media or binge watching shows instead of working on a personal project. Or perhaps we notice that we've been neglecting our health or relationships because we're too focused on work. Reflection gives us the space to recognize these areas and take action to course correct. By identifying where we're off track, we can refocus our energy on what truly matters and use our time more effectively in the future. Another powerful aspect of reflection is that it helps us align our actions with our values. It's easy to get distracted by the noise of everyday life, but when we regularly reflect on how we're spending our time, we can check in with ourselves to ensure that our actions are in line with our long-term goals and the kind of person we want to be. Are we spending time on activities that reflect our values? Are we prioritizing what matters most? Reflection allows us to reconnect with our deeper purpose and realign our time with the things that are truly important to us. It's also important to reflect on our achievements and progress, not just our shortcomings. Sometimes we get so focused on what we haven't done or what we still need to accomplish that we fail to acknowledge the progress we've made. Reflection gives us the opportunity to celebrate our successes, no matter how small they may seem. Recognizing our progress boosts our motivation and reminds us that we are in fact making progress toward our goals. Taking time to reflect on our achievements also reinforces the idea that our time is being well spent, which encourages us to continue using it wisely. The act of reflection doesn't need to be complicated. It can be as simple as taking a few minutes at the end of each day or week to journal, meditate, or simply sit quietly and think about how we spend our time. The key is to make reflection a regular practice, one that allows us to pause, take stock of where we are, and adjust our course as needed. The more we reflect, the more we become aware of how we use our time, and the more intentional we become in how we spend it. Through reflection, we gain the clarity and insight needed to use our time more wisely. It's a process that allows us to take ownership of our time, recognize where we may be wasting it, and make conscious choices about how we want to move forward. The more we reflect, the more we can align our time with our deepest values and aspirations, ensuring that we are using every moment to create the life we want to live. It's easy to get caught up in the daily grind, to let time slip through our fingers without really thinking about it. We become so accustomed to filling our days with tasks and distractions that we forget to ask ourselves if those activities are really helping us achieve what we want in life. But the reality is that time is one of our most valuable resources, and once it's gone, we can never get it back. That's why it's essential that we take action now to make sure we're using our time in ways that align with our goals, our passions, and our values. The first step in this process is awareness. We need to become aware of how we are spending our time and whether it's in alignment with what matters most. Are we spending time on things that truly bring us joy, fulfillment, and growth? Or are we simply going through the motions, filling our days with distractions and obligations? Awareness is the key to understanding how we use our time and where we might be wasting it. This can be as simple as tracking our activities for a week or taking time to reflect on what we do each day. By recognizing where our time goes, we can make more informed decisions about how to spend it moving forward. Once we have awareness, it's time to take action. Time doesn't change on its own. It requires conscious effort on our part. We can start by identifying the areas of our life where we're wasting time, whether it's excessive social media use, procrastination, or taking on too many commitments that don't serve our goals. Once we've identified those areas, we can take steps to eliminate or reduce them. Setting boundaries around how we spend our time is essential. This may mean setting aside specific times for focused work, limiting time on distractions, or saying no to commitments that don't align with our priorities. Another important action is to prioritize the things that truly matter. We need to actively choose how we spend our time, focusing on the activities that will move us closer to our goals and enhance our well-being. Time should be intentionally dedicated to relationships, personal growth, health, and passions. Too often, we let other people's demands, urgent but unimportant tasks, or societal pressures dictate how we spend our time. But we have the power to decide what deserves our attention and energy. When we prioritize the right things, we create the space for the things that truly enrich our lives. Creating routines and structures that support our goals is another powerful action we can take. Routines allow us to use our time more efficiently and ensure that we're consistently working toward our aspirations. Whether it's establishing a morning ritual, blocking out time for creative work, or setting aside regular intervals for exercise or self-care, routines provide the framework we need to stay on track. They help us avoid wasting time on indecision and ensure that we're using our time in ways that serve us. We also need to cultivate discipline. It's easy to let distractions pull us away from what matters, but discipline is the ability to stay focused, to stay committed to our goals even when it's hard, and to resist the temptation to waste time. Discipline is a muscle that can be built with practice. It's about developing the ability to say no to things that don't serve our long-term vision and saying yes to the actions that align with our priorities. Building discipline requires setting clear goals, breaking them down into actionable steps, and committing to those steps every day. Taking action also involves embracing imperfection. Sometimes we wait for the perfect time or the perfect circumstances to get started, but the truth is that time is always moving forward, and waiting for everything to be just right can cause us to miss opportunities. Instead of waiting for the perfect moment, we should take action now, even if it's imperfect. Progress is often made by taking small, imperfect steps forward, rather than waiting for everything to align perfectly. The key is to start, to make use of the time we have, and to keep moving forward, no matter how small the steps may seem. We must hold ourselves accountable. Time is too valuable to be spent carelessly, and it's easy to let excuses or procrastination get in the way of using our time wisely. To stay on track, we need to regularly check in with ourselves, assess whether we're making the most of our time, and course correct if needed. This can involve setting goals, tracking progress, and seeking feedback from others. Accountability helps us stay focused, motivated, and committed to using our time in meaningful ways. The time to act is now. We can no longer afford to let time slip by without purpose or intention. We must take control of how we use our time, making deliberate choices about where we invest our energy and focus. This isn't about filling every moment with productivity, but about being intentional, purposeful, and mindful of the time we have. The choices we make today will shape our tomorrow. The time we waste today cannot be regained, but the time we use wisely can build the life we want for the future. It's up to us to make that choice. As we look ahead to 2025, it's crucial that we recognize the immense value of time and how easily it can slip away if we aren't intentional with it. Time is the one resource we can never get back, and every moment spent in distraction or procrastination is a moment we'll never reclaim. However, the good news is that we have the power to make choices that will help us use our time more wisely. By reflecting on how we spend our days, setting clear intentions, and taking actionable steps, we can ensure that our time is used to create lives of purpose, fulfillment, and success. We must become more aware of how we allocate our time, recognize when it's being wasted, and take responsibility for making better choices. The stories of those who have achieved greatness remind us that it's not about how much time we have, it's about how effectively we use the time we're given. Inspiration can come from looking at the examples of those who have made the most of every moment, and in doing so, we can find the motivation to do the same. Reflection, discipline, and intentional action are key to shifting how we engage with time. By prioritizing what matters most, eliminating distractions, and holding ourselves accountable, we can avoid the trap of wasted time and instead create a future that is aligned with our values and dreams. We don't need to wait for the perfect moment to act. Every small, intentional step we take today can lead to meaningful progress. In 2025, let's commit to making time our ally. Let's stop wasting it on things that don't serve us and start investing it in what truly matters: our personal growth, our relationships, our passions, and our goals. Time is a gift, and it's up to us to make the most of it. The journey to a more purposeful, fulfilling life starts with the choices we make today. Let's use every moment wisely, not just for our own benefit, but to make a lasting impact on the world around us. The time to act is now.